All right, looks like everything's live, and I'm here just a few minutes early. So it's 7:58. I wanted to make sure that everything was working on the stream. Last week on one of the streams, we had some problems with disconnecting or the stream quality not being so good. So there we go. Let's see. Live. Oh, that's a little different. I've never seen that one before. Huh, something new. All right. Everything's looking okay, and we've got 2 minutes, so before I officially start, I'm going to continue looking around in here. So this is part of a new 360 virtual tour we're doing, and yes, the icons are a little goofy. Go figure, I went out and selected some of these icons. But this is a look over the granite dells while we're waiting. So anyone popping in, you're not missing out on anything yet. I'm waiting for it to hit 8 o'clock. But this is part of some of the flights we were doing last week, and we also did some ground-based stuff. Got some favorite climbing areas in here, and the really cool rock formations. I mean, check these out. All these boulders are way taller than me. So, very fun area to visit if you haven't been to Prescott, Arizona. Once it's safer to travel, it might be a destination for you. Lots of backpacking, rock climbing, kayaking, mountain biking. It's got it all. All right, let's take a look over. And 7:59, we've got a couple of folks up. So good morning to everybody. As always, thanks for stopping in and hanging out for a little bit for the Monday live stream. All right, the time says 8 o'clock, so here we are. So, all right, let's do it as we always do. So, welcome to the channel. My name is Rich Charpentier, and I'm the channel host. And normally on this channel, we're talking drones, building your small drone business, imaging, website development, a little bit of everything, but mostly drone stuff. What we've got up on screen here is part of a larger virtual tour that we've been working on. And I'm just going to go down to that one right there. So this was all shot the same day, and I had the drone usually between 50 and 60 feet above ground level. We never really brought it up too high. And this particular 360 tour ties to another 360 tour that I created a couple weeks ago. So we're starting to build some more tours in the Prescott area, some for a couple of our clients, others just because we want to, and we're adding content to one of our side projects, exploreprescott.org. Let me hit the escape button and we'll come back to this in just a little bit. But the big news today, we're a couple of weeks behind, but we've finally launched the new Ground Station Pro course for beginners. And I do want to stress that the class is for beginners. I get a lot of feedback and comments on my other courses on Udemy, and I get this wide variation from people where they wanted higher end topics and they were hoping for some really high end material. And I like doing things mostly for beginners. It's a broader audience. And when you start getting into the really specific, let's say, mapping and modeling, when you start talking about using an RTK setup, using ground control points, all of these things, suddenly your audience goes from this big to this big. So when you start talking about the higher end subjects, you don't have a lot of people that you're actually sharing the course with, unfortunately. And, you know, I like doing beginners courses also because it gives people a starting point where they can see if they want to get into the higher end subjects when it comes to drone flight. So I try to keep everything more to the intro side to intermediate, and that's just how we do it on the channel right now. So just to let you know, I keep looking over to the right hand side to see any comments in the chat window. Right now everybody's quiet right now, and that's okay. So yeah, just the other day I finally got the notification. I was waiting for Udemy for quite a while. And they do have a backlog of new classes going up. So there's a lot of new content on Udemy. So if you're interested in learning other things beyond drone, drone flight and modeling and mapping and, 360s and all that, you can search around Udemy to find a lot of different things. So here we are on the Udemy screen, and go figure, they already got me. So we launched the class just the other day. Here on channel, down in the show notes, right at the top of the show notes, I do have a link for this new Udemy class and a special coupon for the class. So I had set the class price at $20.99 or $29.99, which means absolutely nothing on Udemy. Whatever the prices you set, Udemy does a lot of sales. So they'll come in and they'll do sales to help generate interest in courses. And normally the sales are $9.99, $10.99, or right now they're running a special for $11.99. Now, the coupon code that I've got for the class, I'm sorry, is $12.99. I wasn't allowed to set it any lower, so Udemy is beating me on the price. Here's the thing, and I've said this before on one of these. Hey, Ray, you made it this time. Good deal, and good morning to you. So, anyways, what was I starting to say? So yeah, Udemy has $11.99 right now for the class, and my special coupon code is for $12.99. Here's the thing. Udemy runs these specials all the time. And if you're not using a creator's link, like my link with the coupon code, and you just go over to Udemy and you sign up for their special package deal that they're doing this week or next week, usually they keep like 60 to 75% of the revenue. So on average, I was taking a look at my course sales this morning for all of my other classes, and I'm averaging $4.70 per class sold. So yes, right now, if you pop over to Udemy and you do the Udemy price, it's $11.99. If you utilize my coupon, it's $12.99. And I'm not allowed to market any lower than that. So when I'm setting up the classes and I set up the special bonuses and everything, Udemy has the floor for what I can sell at. So if you use my coupon code, I get to keep more like 85% or 90%. And if you just use their thing, it's more like 40%, if even that. So yeah, there you go. So so there's my selling thing. Sorry about that. So what's the course get into? What are we talking about in Ground Station Pro? Well, Ground Station Pro is a flight app for DJI drones, and it's specifically for iPads. So there's another thing. This already becomes more of a niche class, because if you're not an iPad owner, you're not going to be using this. The application is free. It allows you to set up flight paths, autonomous flight paths for 2D and 3D modeling. It allows you to set up waypoint missions, very customizable waypoint missions, and we do talk about that in the class. So it's like I said, it's a pretty basic class. So I said, what you're going to learn here is flight setup for DJI Ground Station Pro 2, creating flight models for 2D and 3D modeling, the overall interface, because there's a lot to the DJI interface for Ground Station Pro. You have your main window for when you log in. You have a missions window for organizing your missions and editing your missions. Then you have a whole separate interface for when you're connected to your drone for first-person flight and also for all your camera setups. And it feels really similar to the DJI Go 4 apps. So for those of you using DJI apps already, it's going to feel very familiar when you get into that camera view and first-person view. So in total, the class is it's a little over 3 hours, and I'm probably going to be adding some more content to it as I get questions and comments from class attendees. So if you're a student to this class and you have comments or questions, I always do answer those. And if you have a good idea to add to the course, and I've already had a couple extra ideas for a couple more little flight videos toward the end of the course. So there we go. And then we've got the course content down here. So 6 sections with 18 lectures. So the introduction to Ground Station Pro, we're going to talk a little bit more about why would you want to use Ground Station Pro for your business flights or for your recreation flights. And then an explanation of flight applications versus modeling applications. Because I get a lot of students and people on YouTube as well who ask me, they really don't get the difference between the flight app that captures the images and then the final app that processes the images into your models. And I get that it's confusing. When I first started out with this too, I was pretty confused because Pix4D has got a flight app for capturing things. And Pix4D also has that modeling software for desktop and in the cloud. So I was like, okay, well, we've got this capture application. is it only used exclusively with this rendering application? And the answer is no. Images that you take from one application, you can put into these modeling applications. So we go over that a little bit, and then we really dive into the main interface, mission interface. And the mission interface is the big one. That's the one that you're going to be spending a lot of time in. And then the camera and drone interface with the FPV, map view, and free flight. So if you're out in the field and you're just having a good day and you just want to do some flying with your drone and you've already done your modeling and you still got some batteries on hand, you can do free flight all day long with Ground Station Pro. It's very reliable. And then we've got our setting up for missions. So section 3, we talk about our 2D modeling and capturing images for that. And then we move on to the 3D modeling, and there's a lot more in this one. There's very little difference between setting up for 2D flights and 3D flights with Ground Station Pro. And so we kind of get into the 3D, and we're still setting up model flight paths. Those paths can also be used for 2D modeling. So we talk about that in there. And then we actually set up an actual flight. And for those of you who, you're on the fence, you don't know if you want this one, you also get a free preview of the course for the drone 3D modeling flight in the field. So you can actually see that. And by the way, the first 2 videos in here are also free previews. So before you sign up for anything, you can check out some of the free previews as well. So yeah, we walk you through creating both a 2D mapping area and a 3D mapping area. We talk about the fact that the 3D mapping area can be used for 2D, and we actually get to see the flight, and we get to see the final model that's showing the final model, and then waypoint missions. So I think when it comes to doing the 2-dimensional and 3-dimensional modeling flights with Ground Station Pro, it's pretty straightforward and pretty easy. You block out an area, you tell it the elevation that you'd like to fly at, you get a feel for your detail level, and then you send the drone on its way. What's really cool with Ground Station Pro is that they also include waypoint mission building. And waypoint mission building can help you in a lot of different industries. So I had a person who popped a comment on before the live stream happened. So they were asking about, they're looking into doing their first construction job, that they have an opportunity for a construction job. I don't know if it's a progression flight or if it's a modeling flight, if it's 2-dimensional, 3-dimensional, or if they're doing some kind of time-lapse work at the construction site. But I do have several other courses here on Udemy. One of the courses that kind of ties together with the Ground Station Pro course is my drone construction progression reporting class. So in that class, I walk you through one of the construction sites that I've done work on, and I've used autonomous flight applications for planning flight routes and for doing 2-dimensional and 3-dimensional model capture. And so what's really great with Ground Station Pro is it's kind of the full package. Not only do I have the 2D and 3D modeling flights, I also have waypoint flights. Now, when we look at something like the Litchi app, Litchi does the waypoints all day, and it does a great job. That's another class that I also have up for people who want to use the Litchi app in construction progression jobs. I could also have used Ground Station Pro in that class to do the same thing I did with Litchi, which was set up autonomous flight paths to capture still images and to capture video while I'm doing the flights. So when I was doing that course for the construction progression, I used the Map Pilot application on my iPhone, and I used the Litchi application. So Map Pilot captured my 2-dimensional model area. Litchi did all of my still photos for time-lapse and all of my video for time-lapse. So I had 2 applications going on there. Well, if I had gone and set up the same area with Ground Station Pro, I could have done everything with one application. So I'm a little more biased toward Litchi because I like the smoothness of their flight paths better. I do feel like Ground Station Pro makes some choppy flight paths sometimes, that some of the actions are a little too abrupt, not very cinematic, and I always find myself editing around those points when I'm using Ground Station Pro. So not bashing on the application that I'm doing a class on, just being completely transparent with you that I do have applications for specific job types. But if you're looking for an all-in-one to only bring one device into the field with you, then Ground Station Pro's got it covered. It's a combination of Litchi with Map Pilot, or it's a combination of Litchi with Pix4D's Capture, or it's a combination of Litchi with Drone Deploy's Capture. So it's nice to, have a one-stop shop, isn't it? So instead of, normally when I go out into the field, if I'm swapping between devices, I'll have the iPad and I'll have the iPhone and I'll have the other iPhone. So I'm carrying around all this extra gear, and what's really nice when it comes to Ground Station Pro is I can do almost everything on one device. So let's take a look over. Oh, Michael, so much easier to pay for someone's time not to recreate the wheel. I'll check it all out. Thanks, Michael. And by the way, everybody else, that was the person who I said had made a comment before the live stream actually happened. So I appreciate that, Michael. Take a look through it, and you can also take a look through the others, because I know that you were asking about construction work. So on here as well, we do have the Litchi for Business class, and we have the construction progression class. And I think all three of these actually tie very well together. The Litchi class, the modeling with Ground Station Pro here. Sorry, I'm a little tired today, by the way. I had a horrible night's sleep. So the drone construction progression class, Litchi, and the Ground Station Pro class, they kind of tie together neatly. So let's scroll down and I can actually show you. So down below here, let's see here, more courses from me. So scrolling on down, there we go. The introduction to 2D and 3D modeling with Agisoft Metashape. Ground Station Pro can tie in very nicely with that. Metashape is used for creating 2D and 3D models. So you go out and you fly your mission with Ground Station Pro, you come back to the office, you load it into Metashape, and then you can generate your two-dimensional and three-dimensional models. So the Ground Station Pro class goes nicely together with that. And then here we go. This is the big one that I think it ties into a lot, is the drone construction progression example, a full project. So in that project, I showed a lot of stuff with Litchi, and I showed a little bit with Map Pilot for the two-dimensional, but I could have accomplished everything in that class with Ground Station Pro as well. And then we have the Litchi Waypoint missions for your drone business. That class is very related to Ground Station Pro's Waypoint section. So what we show through in the Litchi class, almost all the same stuff can be accomplished with Ground Station Pro as well. So one of the big questions that you'll have for yourself is, what devices do I want to be using to accomplish my goals? So in the case of Ground Station Pro, you're going to have to be an iPad owner. And it's not even just iOS, it's iPad specific. So if you're not an iPad owner, hey, this class probably won't be for you unless you want to run out and buy an iPad, which I actually did in 2017 because I wanted to use Ground Station Pro. So for Black Friday sale, Thanksgiving weekend, they were having a good sale on an iPad mini, so I ran out and got one, and that's what I use for my Ground Station Pro to this day. So it's been running great for 3 years on the iPad mini. There you go. So, all right, so there's the announcement. By the way, in the notes below, in the show notes below, not only do I have coupon codes for the Ground Station Pro class, I also have the coupon codes up for the Metashape class, for the construction progression for Litchi, and a couple other things. So if you scroll down below, you'll see all of those links. Like I said, Udemy, go figure, is running a special this week, so they undercut me on my own low price. It kind of cracks me up. It's interesting, and some people have asked me, why use Udemy? Why not move on somewhere else so that you stop having all those sales going on? And the honest answer is Udemy does a great job at marketing. They've helped a lot of students find my courses, and they've helped me find students. So even though I'm making a little less, I am getting more interest generated not only in the classes but also in the YouTube channel. So it's okay by me. At some point, I might set up a Teachable account instead and get to keep a little bit more of the revenue. All right, so that's enough talk about that. If you have any questions about the class or anything, feel free to drop a note in the comments. in the live chat, you're very welcome. Oh, CJ, I totally missed your pop in too. How are you doing? So yeah, we've got a couple folks on here, and thanks again everybody for stopping by. So like I said, I'm exhausted, horrible night's sleep, but we're gonna move on to one more thing. So the class is launched. I'm thrilled about it, and if you have any questions, feel free to get in touch. You can also pop by azdrone.net as well and drop a note from there through the comments section as well. So the next thing I wanted to show you, one of the projects that we've been working on last week, and I've shown some of it before, is that we've been working on some new virtual tours for one of our own websites and for some client sites. And as you can see, I'm just scrolling around here. We're using Kula, and I do like how Kula displays compared to some of the other 360 piano applications out there. Oftentimes I find that there's a lot of pixelation on the edges. And on Kula with the 7D and with the Mavic 2, I haven't had that problem, so I really like that one a lot. So this is actually a fairly large virtual tour, and I'm going to go all the way to the back. So while I was out doing the aerial work, Jody was actually in the campground doing the terrestrial work. So she walked through the entire upper loop of the area, did all of the labels there. Sure thing, CJ. Sorry, I got to figure out how to put the chat windows up onto OBS as well. I tried it a couple months ago, and it dominated the screen, and it was kind of annoying, and people couldn't see everything. So I got to figure that one out, and that way everyone can see the live chats that I keep looking over at. So yeah, so Jody started out right at the entrance for the upper part of the campground, and you'll notice awesome clouds that day. So we had done another test one a few days before, and there was no clouds. Monsoon season is incredible here in Arizona. If you haven't actually experienced monsoons in Arizona, it's kind of a must-see thing. The cloud builds are amazing. The colors in the morning at the end of the day are incredible. So when we went out and shot the virtual tour last week, we didn't have any clouds. So the other morning I got up super early. I saw the clouds were already building. So we woke up, got out the door, and got over there super early just because we wanted, we wanted some more contrast in the sky and show off the beauty of the park. So, and you can see there's some leftover rainwater from the day before. And so Jody actually set these up so that you know which part of the park you're going to. And shooting with the DSLR with the 7D, I mean, that's a pretty good zoom resolution right there on site number 84. So I'm going to zoom back out there. And we actually do work our way around the park. Oh, I've had other people ask me who've been using Litchi for doing 360s. So you can use the Litchi app for setting up 360s with your drones as well. And I've had people say, oh, with Litchi, the sky area is not completed. You can put placeholder content into areas that the drone does not get. So in the case of using the digital SLR, we were able to shoot up to the zenith point, but we did not shoot down. So there was a little area that didn't have anything in it, and you can actually make a little logo to cover up those top missing areas or those bottom missing areas. So anyone popping by to take a look at this particular tour, if they're looking around everywhere, they're going to find out about who helped build that tour, and that's us, azdrone.net and rlcdesign.net. So I'm just moving along here so that you can see it's quite a sizable campground. They have an upper loop and a lower loop, and it's in a very unique location. I mean, look at this. People are backed up right against these amazing rock formations, so they've got such great views. They can go out and rock scramble here. They can easily get to the top of a lot of these formations. While there's a lot of vertical cliffs in here, usually there's always a nice way back up onto the rock formations without risking your neck. So since I'm a rock climber, I don't mind it that much, but I do know some people have some issues with altitude. So I'm clicking onto this one because we tie the whole loop together. And we're probably going to put a couple more navigation items. Also, we still haven't settled on the final navigation items. So we've got a lot of different icons we can put in. And there's a million free icons out there. So You know, we could do, you know, your standard hiker symbols and your standard camping symbols, or you can have a little fun with it and find some other interesting icons and emojis out there. Before I go into the trail access part, I did want to say that I really like this RV here because they've got one of the minions for their window area. So that was funny. We actually talked to the owner of that RV when we came back from our flights. He heard the drone, so he was all excited about the drone flight and what we were doing. Now I'm going to click onto the trail access into the Granite Dells. And so one more RV spot here. So there's a couple of tucked away spots, one right there as well. And I'm zoomed out just a little bit. But we can actually get into the picnic area. And from the picnic area, we can actually go into the trail. So I clicked on that and there we go. So now we're heading out of the park. So while Jody was in that park loop, this is the part I was doing. And actually we met up. So this was our final photo of the day. And that was me just checking out what I thought of the location of the drone for getting that aerial view. So we do have a replacement image for that one as well. But I kind of like us in there because it shows people active on the trail. So this is looking back at the campground area. You can see a couple of the RVs, but I also made sure to put another one above the upper loop so that people could really get a handle on the size of the camping area and then also the trail and where the trail goes to. So this is a very cool trail setup. This is actually maintained by the folks who own Point of Rocks Campground because they have they own a good bit of the Granite Dells in here. And then the city also owns a big chunk of the rock formations out there. So I actually went through a couple of my favorite spots, making sure with each and every time that the links back were working so that people could easily navigate back. Because I find when I'm looking at some 360 virtual tours, they get really busy with lots of icons. This icon to the bathroom, that icon to the master bedroom, that icon to the door out of the master bedroom. And so I don't want people to get lost as they're looking around these. So we actually sent the owners of the park this demo version right here to get some input from them to see if they like the fonts, if they want to change anything. Also, when we do hiking toward Watson Lake, when we get to this one, there is a video for people. So Kula allows you to embed videos. I think I might have talked about that on another live stream. I'm not sure, but it is really nice that you can embed live streams, or not live streams, standard videos at each of your locations as you're showing off a place. So you can do still photos or you can do these videos allowing people to get a full feel for the area. So I like that a lot. And then also you can tie different tours together. So we have another tour of Watson Lake Park. And if I click on that one, there we go. It brings up the Watson Lake Park virtual tour. Excuse my hiccup. And it still left the Point of Rocks one up, so I had it open in a new tab. But Point of Rocks is right next to Watson Lake Park. So right up and over these rocks right here, yeah, that's where Point of Rocks is. They have a second trail that comes down through these rocks right here and comes out right next to the grassy area. So they've got two different trails headed down to Watson Lake Park. So you can really spend a lot of time exploring the area. So the idea of these virtual tours is for, you know, tourists who haven't been here to get an overall feel for the area, you know, where they're going to be staying versus the things they'd like to see. Because we've got more coming up in the near future. I also want to do something over in Granite Basin. So that's Granite Mountain right over there. We won't be flying the drone over there though, because that is a wilderness area. So while the airspace is okay around that, there is an official wilderness area, so that's not an area that we're going to be flying our drones into. And one of the big reasons, I think, is the fact that peregrine falcons nest out there, and I regularly do see peregrine falcons, so it's awesome to see them around here. So if I can't fly in that area, that's okay. It's a good trade-off. I like seeing the peregrines. So just taking a look over, making sure I'm not missing anybody else. Nope. So yeah, tying these tours together is one way that you can do things. So if you're showing off an amazing recreation location for a client, you can tie the tour of their property together with the locations they're close to. So this would be great for like bed and breakfasts. You know, we deal a lot with campgrounds, so of course I'm biased toward the campground work. I'm going to go ahead and close that tab. and just go back over. So there we've got our return back down to the trail. And then we've also got another favorite one with some standing rocks in here. Check out these canyons. So these are actually pretty deep canyons. The things growing out of here are not bushes, they are trees. So oftentimes the trees are a lot taller than me. And yes, I've been down in this Super Duck Canyon before, and one of my favorite hikes. So we've got one of our standing rocks here, but we actually take a walk down. We get into this particular canyon right here. And if you follow the trail up, there's actually an easy jump up here to get you on top of these rock formations. And where my hand icon is, that is another really good climbing wall called Time Zone Wall. And then, of course, right next to Time Zone, we've got Thor's Marbles. If you're wondering why that last image was so blue and so cool, I had a cloud block the sun partially. So part of the image was very cool, and then when you rotate around, it becomes a very warm image. The sun line was right there. You can't miss it. So there you go. And then we can also zoom way in. So this is one of the areas for belaying climbers in here. So it does show off the area nicely. I didn't overdo it. Let me say I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I've got 10 360 images for while you're in the Granite Dells. Then I think Jody had said maybe she had 17 or 18 touring around the park. So I'm just going to click back into the park here really quick, because that's the other nice thing with Kula. You can go down here on the slider bar below, and it shows you which sites you're going to be looking at. So if we click on this one, we're going to be looking at 69, 68, 67, and then 95 is also in there. So she labels all the ones moving forward, but also has all of the ones that people are parked at right now. And sometimes it's hard to see some of these because they're painted on little white rocks. So they do blend in nicely with the environment. So there you go. Now you can see this one very nicely. This is site number 98. And as we move along through, we can see what site number is this. This is site number 64. So the site numbering is a little weird on the map. I think it was as they were growing, most likely. So you can, in fact, make your way through the entire park. One of the things I'd really like in Kula is to have a map function where people could also see the map. You can make your own layout in Kula and then put your dots in there, but one of the things that I really liked about another 360 application called Theosys was that if you're doing something with a camera that has a GPS, Theosys will actually take the images and pop them onto a Google map for you. So all the little pins just show right up on the Google Maps, which is awesome. So it encourages laziness in me because once I upload the images, all the GPS information is already there. So in Kula, I can kind of do something similar, but it's going to be a lot more work. So we'll be talking to our customer about, do you want that feature as well? It's going to take us a little more time to do that, but we can, in fact, do that. So by the way, when I was full timing in my Airstream, so I lived year round in the Airstream for quite a while, and this is site number 90 right here. So this was a location that my Airstream stayed at for quite some time. It was nice and convenient because I was just a short hike into the Dells, and actually from that location, if there was nobody parked in this particular spot, I could get right up into the rock formations in about 3 minutes time. So that was great for monsoon season, just getting some regular still photos. Yep. So like I said, really bad sleep, really bad night's sleep last night. So I'm running out of steam here. I wanted to let everyone know about the new class because I know that several people have been waiting for it. Also, for my patrons, there's a special message for you on the Patreon channel. So if you haven't checked it out, please do, because there's an extra special bonus for you. But you do need to take advantage of it by tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. That's when I set it up. So it was another special coupon for my patrons. And when I do these types of special coupons, Udemy only allows me to run them for 3 days. And I'm only allowed to post up to 3 coupons a month. So I set up the special one here for the live stream, and then I set up one more for my patrons. So I can only do one more this month for the new class. So I'm going to use that sparingly. So yeah, for all the patrons, head on over to Patreon, see what I've got up there for you, and make sure to go ahead and sign up for it so you don't miss out on it. All right, everybody, with all that, this is our shortest live stream ever. I'm going to fall out of the chair and find a pillow. And I think I might actually take a morning nap. It was such a bad night's sleep. So I hope you all have a great start to the week. And there might be another random live stream next week or this week. You never know. So keep an eye out. You'll get the notifications both on here and on Patreon. So as always, thanks for coming and hanging out for a little bit. It's greatly appreciated. And I'll look forward to seeing you all again really soon. Have a great morning.